First of all, I want to start out with a couple of apologies. First of all, I want to say to all you folks who live here in Woodford County, I'm so sorry that Julian Carroll is your state senator. There ought to be some sort of law that dinosaurs are precluded from serving in the Kentucky State Senate. But, you know, his time has come and gone. And, you know, just this year, he found out what it's like to be a minority within a minority. There are only 15 Democrats in the Kentucky State Senate, the smallest in the history of this Commonwealth. And he ran for leader and couldn't get the votes to be the Democrat leader in the State Senate. Secondly, I want to apologize to Mrs. Holzfall for whispering in her ear. I usually whisper in Alice Forgy-Kerr's ear during our Republican caucus meetings, and she seems to like it. But what I whispered to her was the same thing I told you, is that our pension reform plan included legislators and that she's included in the same pension program, and I just wanted to point that out because during this primary I've noticed that there's been, coming from Republicans, some, I don't know, antipathy towards legislators. And it's frustrating to me because I've been down there for 8.5 years. I've beaten 3 Democrats in really tough races in a 2-to-1 Democrat district. Alice Forgy-Kerr, they've thrown everything at her, a UK basketball star, a Supreme Court justice, and a retired county clerk. You know, we fight really hard for you down there. We fight really hard for you, and we have to go into battle every day against the Democrats in the Senate, the Democrats in the House, and the Democrats in the governor's mansion. Not to mention the Lexington Herald Misleader and the Curious Journal from Louisville. And it's hard. And I hope you have a little bit more respect for what we do, because as I said before, we are your first, your last, and your only line of defense. But we can change that this year by sending Steve Beshear back into the private sector. And that's why I'm here tonight. A year ago this time, I was thinking about running with Bill Johnson on a ticket for governor and lieutenant governor. Bill was going to run for governor, and I was considering running with him on the ticket for lieutenant governor. We felt like we needed and could provide the strong kind of leadership that Kentucky needed in the governor's mansion. We made an agreement that if David Williams and or Richie Farmer got in the race, we would not. Well, they sort of took care of that in one fell swoop. And Bill decided to run for Secretary of State, and I'm supporting him for that. And I gave very serious thought to running for state auditor. But I'll tell you why I didn't, and that's because I was able to go to my daughter's horseback riding lesson this afternoon and see every one of my son's basketball games this summer. And a lot of these candidates, most of these candidates who are running statewide have missed those opportunities. Each and every one of them deserve our thanks and our praise and our gratitude and their respect for giving up their lives and making sacrifices so that they can give us a choice in the primary week for tonight. And I believe each and every one of them deserve a round of applause. Now, I decided not to run on that ticket with Bill because I'm such a strong believer in David Williams. He is a brilliant, bold political leader. He is the smartest guy in state government. And I don't think it should be shameful for someone to be able to say that I have served for many years in the Kentucky General Assembly. You know, this is hard work. It's part-time work. We're not getting wealthy, either with our salaries or our pensions, unless you get hired by Steve Beshear, which he has done, and we've tried to rectify that little miscalculation there in our pension reform plan. It's hard work. And I have stood side by side with David Williams for 8.5 years and watched him take on the Democrats and lead our caucus of 23 members, the largest Republican majority in the history of this Commonwealth. And it's there for a reason, because people voted in conservative change in the state Senate. Can you imagine the last 11 years how bad it would be if we didn't have Republicans leading the state Senate? We pass a pro-life bill every year, and they send it down to a committee full of liberals from Louisville in the Kentucky House of Representatives to kill the bill. And David Williams has been a leader to protect the unborn from the day he stepped in the General Assembly, and that's why he's endorsed by Kentucky Right to Life and Northern Kentucky Right to Life, and as governor, he will use the bully pulpit to enact further reforms to our pro-life laws to make Kentucky one of the most pro-life states in the nation. Can I hear some agreement on this? Thank you. You know what? Everything that Phil talks about, great ideas. We've done it all in the Kentucky State Senate. Tax reform, passed it, died in the House. Pension reform, passed it, died in the House. State sovereignty, I sponsored the bill, passed it, died in the House. Charter schools, passed it, died in the House. Some of these bills we have considered for multiple years. We've got to change the dynamic. We've got to change the dynamic of the three-legged stool in Frankfurt. And we can do that this fall by changing the manager, the person at the top, the governor. And you can't do it without working with the legislature. A governor can't come in and just enact laws. The governor has to be able to get those laws passed by the General Assembly. Now, we're going to work in the Senate Republican majority, move quickly with Governor Williams to enact his agenda. And believe me, when that dynamic is changed, when the Democrats in the House don't have that friend on the first floor, it's a whole new world. It's a whole new world. David Williams has bold, conservative ideas for Kentucky. His record proves it. I'm proud of the record that he has. I'm proud of the record that we have. If you like the work of the Kentucky State Senate, you ought to be for David Williams to be our next governor. And I encourage you to cast your vote for the Williams Farmer ticket a week from tonight. Now, having said that, I've been around this not as long as Warren and Carol, but I've been fighting these Democrats, and by the way, that's a badge of honor. I've been fighting these Democrats since 1995, since Alice's brother Larry ran for governor. I went around the state campaigning for Pepe Martin. I was there for Ernie Fletcher in the good times and the bad. This is my 5th governor's race. And the most important thing we can do a week from tonight is unite behind the primary winners in the Republican Party. Because if we don't have a united front, we cannot win. And a year ago, we proved what a united Republican Party can do. When our party, less than a week after the election, united behind Rand Paul to be our next United States Senator. And then we were able to go out as a united party, compete for those conservative Democrats and independents across this Commonwealth, and with that, achieve a 12-point victory for Rand Paul. Now, in other states, they did not unite behind our Republican nominee, places like Nevada, Delaware, Colorado. And our candidates for the Senate lost those races. We could have a Republican majority for Mitch and Rand to work with if we would have united behind those candidates just in those 3 states. We showed the way in Kentucky because we united behind our Republican nominee, and we went out to capture those Democrats and independents who agree with us philosophically. I pledge to you tonight that I will do that. I have my preferences in these other races. My friend Adia Wushner, my friend Jamie Comer, my friend Bill Johnson, and of course the Williams Farmer ticket. But I'm going to support the nominees of this party. I urge you to vote for Williams Farmer a week from tonight. I urge you, more importantly, to unite behind our party's nominees heading into the fall so we can send Steve Beshear back to that law firm in Lexington and move Kentucky forward so we can move down in the rankings in that Forbes with a better manager in the first floor of the governor's office down there in the state capitol. Thanks. I look forward to taking your questions.